They have started grading. That's where my driveway is gonna be. Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Everywhere I go, the people really wanna know who I is and who I be. They stop and stare when they see me.
Hey y'all, my name is Keisha Jante. Thank you so much for clicking on my very first video. Welcome to this brand new channel. Or if you're from the future and you've watched some videos that I've already posted after this video and you just decided that you wanted to come back to the beginning and see where it all started, welcome back. I appreciate you wanting to share or to experience this whole journey with me from the beginning. So again, welcome to this channel. Welcome back for those of you who are not new here. On this channel, I'll be sharing my home buying or home building journey with you all. As you can see from the title of this video, I'm building my very first home, and I thought that I would just document the process and share the things that I'm experiencing and learning along the way. I know that I've had so many questions that I wanted the answers to throughout my process already, and I'm just at the very beginning stages. So I figured that if I could answer some of those questions for other people, why not, right? So whether you're new here or not, go ahead and click on that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you can know when any future videos are uploaded. So now that I gotten all that out of the way, let's talk about what you guys are really here for, which is my process so far in this home buying or now home building journey. I actually started that process back in 2018. It has not taken me this long to get approved or to find a house or anything, but back in 2018, I started working with the program to get approved for a loan for a mortgage. I was saving money. I was looking at homes that I wanted to live in. I actually found my home, the one that I really, really wanted. I'm looking at areas that I would want to live in, which at the time I wanted to live all the way on the other side of town, which is closer to work, because I was going into the office every day. But back then I decided that I had too much debt. Not too much debt to where I couldn't get approved for a loan, but too much debt for me to be comfortable with paying a mortgage and paying $1 million in student loans every month, and also the car note that I had at the time. So I decided for me, it made more sense to put the brakes on my home search and focus on paying off debt. The money that I had saved to purchase a home, I actually took that money. It was like $18,000. I took that money and I put it on my car. And then over the next couple of months, I went ahead and was able to pay the car off. It just, to me, it didn't make sense that I had all this money sitting in the bank and all this debt. Like, I was just like, that doesn't make sense. I'd rather just pay my debt off. So that's what I did. I took the savings that I had been putting away for the house and I put it on my car, paid the car off in the next couple months. I've paid my student loans down significantly over the last few years, and I know a lot of y'all are like, those student loans are going with me to my grave. I'm not about that life. I don't want to just be in debt forever. So I'm paying my student loans off, and I was able to get them down significantly. Like, I think I'm at like a third of what they used to be now. And I really wanted to pay off more during the panorama while they were at 0% interest, but it didn't happen that way. And I'm not upset with myself at all for not paying off my student loans when I absolutely had the means to do so. Anyway, on my birthday in February, I decided that I was now comfortable being in a situation where I'm paying a mortgage and student loans. Again, my car is paid off. My student loans have been significantly reduced. So I was okay with paying both of those things at the same time. And I decided that I wanted to become a homeowner by my next birthday in February of 2022. Now, even at that point, I knew that I could go to a lender, apply for a loan, get approved, find a house that I really liked, put an offer in, get accepted, go through the whole close process. And now in October would have been in the home for several months at this point. But I decided that I wanted to wait and give myself that extra time for two main reasons. The first one being that I really wanted to use this very specific homebuyer program that is notorious for moving slowly. So I wanted to give myself time to work through that program and do what I need to do in order to get approved using that lender. And secondly, I'm currently living in my mom's house. If you know me, you know. And she is currently working in the Middle East. Well, actually, currently she's downstairs. But she's working in the Middle East when she is working. And she told me back in February that she signed her last contract and she will be home for good in February of 2022. So I figured, I got a year that helps me work through the program. I'll be turning a celebratory age, I guess, in 2022, and my mom will be home for good in 2022. So I have time to go through the program to be able to get my house, and if I time it right, then I'll be moving out just as she's moving back in, and we're all good to go. So I decided that February 2022 was a great time to purchase a home. So once I decided that I was ready to go forward with purchasing a home, I went ahead and hooked up with a realtor. And my realtor is a woman that I know from college, hashtag state not southern, hashtag the real GSU. And we had a consultation together, and I gave her the rundown of what I wanted in my first home. And so I'm going to tell you guys what I wanted in my first home, and then later on I'm going to tell you guys what my actual home or what's in it, and we can kind of see, did I stay on track or what I had to give up, if I had to give up anything. So the first thing I told her was that I did not want any stairs in my house. I didn't even want stairs that lead up to a porch to go into the front door. I want absolutely no stairs. I hate stairs. I am not about that walking up and down stairs everyday life. When I was a cheerleader at Georgia State, we had to run up and down stairs. I think that is exactly where my hatred of stairs came in. And I don't want any stairs in my house. I have stairs right now in the house that I'm living in. It's a split level ranch. So you walk in the front door and you go up like 6 stairs to get to the second floor, or you go down 6 stairs to get to like the den and the garage and stuff like that. But even that is still like, I'm over it. I don't want stairs in my house. So 1 level ranch, stepless everywhere. Put me in a retirement home if I need to be, because I don't want stairs. So that was it. No stairs. I wanted to be close to the interstate. The house that I'm in now is pretty far from the interstate. So when I was having to commute to work, about 1/3 of my commute, if not longer, was just me getting to the interstate or coming home, getting off the interstate and getting to the house. And I was just like, that's annoying. I'm over it. I want to be as close to the interstate as possible so that if I do have to go into the office, which I've been working remotely for the last 1.5 years at this point, but if I ever do have to go into the office, I want to be able to just jump on the interstate and go. Like, I'm not interested in living, somewhere far out where I have to take a bunch of back roads to be able to get to the interstate. Another thing that was really important to me is lighting. I like houses with a lot of natural light. I actually don't typically have my lights on in the house during the day. Right now I have this overhead light on because I'm filming, but if I wasn't, this light would not be on and this room would be quite a bit darker, even though there's a natural light source right here with this window. So I wanted to have a house that is I don't expect it to look like it's outside all day long, but I do like bigger windows, maybe higher ceilings to let more of that light in. So that's also something I was looking at. Now, as far as rooms go, I was looking for a house that had 4 bedrooms or maybe 3 bedrooms with a formal living room or a formal dining room that I can turn into something else. And you might be thinking like, Keisha, it's just you. And if you didn't know that, then now you know, it's just me. So you might be wondering like why I need so many rooms. So first of all, I need a bedroom. Obviously, I need somewhere to sleep. So that's 1 bedroom. I also need an office space, a separate office, because I work remotely and I have been working remotely since March 2020. I plan to continue working remotely, even though there may be some times where I might have to go into the office for something here and there. My goal is to continue working remotely. And I also have a business that I run out of my house. So even if I did have to go into the office, which Lord, please no. But if I did have to go into the office, I still need an office space. And right now, my office is my closet, as you can see, which I absolutely love. Don't get me wrong. I love working in my closet space, but sometimes I need my background not to be a dirty pile of clothes on the floor. So I'm thinking I might just need an extra space that I can just use as a separate office and then just have my closet be my closet. Even though, again, I really love having my clothes in here. My desk used to be turned the other way. So while I was working, I was actually looking at my clothes and it brought me so much joy. But I do need to not have such a busy background when I'm working with, when I'm when I'm meeting with people and need a background to be a little bit more cleaner. A little bit cleaner. I also have 3 nephews. So at the time when I first started looking for a house, I was very adamant that I wanted to have a space just for them. So when they come over, they have their own bedroom, and I was going to have 3 little bunk beds in the room so they can each have their own bed. They were all happen to come visit their TT at the same time. They could each have their own bed. They're not fighting over it. And I just wanted to have like a little space for them in my house. And then of course the last room would be a guest room on the off chance that somebody comes to visit me. I think my mom would probably be the only person that spent time in my guest room. So she can have her own room, right? So that was the reason I wanted 4 bedrooms. And if I had additional rooms, then that would just give me, you know, more to work with. So, you know, if I could find a 4 bedroom that already had an office space somewhere, then maybe that 4th bedroom could be a home gym or something like that. So kind of that's what I was looking for. I needed at least a bedroom for myself, a space for an office, and a guest room, and then a room for my nephews. So that was the oh, and I didn't want to be too close to people. One thing that I am not really a fan of with new construction is that the streets are really narrow and the houses are really close to each other. And so I did not want to be very close to my neighbors. And I really just wanted space. Wasn't really that concerned with having a really huge yard because I don't be outside, but I just didn't want to be like all on top of my neighbors. So that was another thing that I was very adamant about when I talked to my real estate agent in the first meeting that we had for buying a house. So we had that conversation and I gave her my list of wants, needs, and nice to haves. And then I gave her my budget. And at the time, the amount that I gave her was way less than what I knew I could afford. Now, I had not been approved for anything at the time, but I knew how much I could afford from using a million different online calculators. And I knew that I did not want to be anywhere close to my maximum approval amount. I wanted to keep the mortgage itself, the payment, low, because at the time I told her that I was leaning more towards existing than new construction, because remember I said I really wasn't feeling new construction because the houses were typically too close together. They were the streets were narrow. Like there were, you know, reasons that I did not really want to go new construction. And so because I was looking at existing homes, I knew that there was going to be some work that I was going to want to do in the house. So I decided that I wanted to keep my mortgage payment low. So I gave her an amount that was way lower than what I could actually qualify for, so that I would have room in my budget to be able to do any renovations or any fixing upping that I wanted to do for a home. So after we had that conversation, I gave her all that information. She set me up to get daily updates from her website, and I also signed up for daily updates from the MLS, which, by the way, if you're looking for a home, you can look at the MLS yourself. You don't necessarily have to always look at Realtor.com and Zillow. I know Realtor.com is supposed to be one of the good ones for being updated more regularly, but even looking at Realtor.com and then looking at the MLS, I noticed there were a lot of discrepancies. Stuff was still on Realtor.com that had already been sold. In this market, it really is about, you know, getting to things quick. And so I just went straight with looking at the MLS and her website. I didn't even fool with any of those third-party sites. That's just a tip. I spent the next couple of weeks looking at those websites and sending her houses that I liked, that I wanted to go see. Houses that I liked, but not really right in the, you know, the right neighborhood or the right area, or a house that was cute, but is a little bit over what I wanted to spend, or it was a little bit too big, or, you know, these kind of things that would help her refine what it is I'm looking for, so she can be on the lookout and say, okay, well, she liked this style of house, but it wasn't in this neighborhood. Here's a house that's very similar and it's in this neighborhood. Maybe she'll like this. In June, we went to look at a pre-listing. And a pre-listing is a house that is not on the market yet, but it's coming soon. So I went to go look at it. The seller was getting their next house built, which is why their home was not on the market yet, because they were waiting until the right time with their new house to be able to put the old house on the market. Because remember, these houses are going so fast in this market, they didn't want to be in a spot where they didn't have a house. So I went to take a look at it. It was pretty much everything that I wanted. I mean, it had the 4 bedrooms, the guest area was private, so you know, they wouldn't be bothering me all the time. It did have a really big backyard, which again was not something I really cared about, but was good for having my nephews over. It was a really cute, nice house. It was in an established neighborhood. The neighbors were not close at all. And so and it had a pool in the neighborhood. It did have an HOA, which I'm not concerned with HOAs. And so it pretty much checked all the boxes. The only box that it really didn't check was that it wasn't as close to the interstate as I would have liked. But I really loved that house. And again, the fact that the seller was not really quite ready to sell yet was good for me because I still had not been approved for a mortgage. Actually, let me take that back. I was approved for a mortgage. I did get approved for a loan, but I mentioned earlier that I wanted to use a particular lending program and I was not approved with that program. So I did have a loan approval, but I didn't have the one that I wanted. And I was excited that these sellers were not quite ready to put their house on the market because that gave me time to get approved with this lending program that I wanted to go that makes you jump through all the hoops. And I will tell you a little bit more about that program in a later video. I want to wait until I close before I talk about that program. But yeah, I hadn't gotten approved with them yet. I did have an approval, but I didn't really want to use that loan. I wanted to use the one that I really wanted to use. But for all intents and purposes, that house that we went to go see was my house. I started decorating it in my head. I had taken video when I went to go see the house, and so I was always going back through the videos to see like the layout and where I could put this and where I could put that. There was another house that was for sale in the same neighborhood that actually was the exact same layout. There was a few differences, and so I was sending the pictures from that house, like my mom and my friends, and thinking about what can we do here, what can we do. Like, the house was mine, okay? The only thing, there was just a formality of them actually listing the house and me putting in an offer and getting accepted and closing that we needed to get through. But the house was mine, okay? I was going to get the house. That was my house. You couldn't tell me anything. When I was talking to my friends about it, I was like, yeah, the house I'm going to be moving into when I move over here. You know, I started looking at what's in the neighborhood. You know, this is going to be my new beauty salon. This is where I'm going to be doing my shopping at. This is where I'm going to be, you know, getting my whatever done. All these things. That was my house. You couldn't tell me anything. I was going to buy the house. And then obviously it didn't work out. I'll tell y'all more about that emotional roller coaster in a future video, but I just know that I ultimately passed on that house. And I do want to say that I passed on it and not that I lost it, because I could have purchased that home using the lender that I had already been approved with. But I didn't like the terms of that loan as compared to the lender that I really wanted to go with. And I realized that I had just gotten so excited with the idea of being a homeowner that I was so caught up in that being my house, and I didn't want to spend more money by going with a different loan than I needed to just because I got excited about that house. I felt like if it was my house, like I said it was, then I would have been able to get it with the lender that I preferred to use and not have to spend, you know, thousands of dollars over the life of the loan more than I would using my preferred lender. I could have already been in that house if I had purchased it, but I had given myself until February. So I had to remind myself, you have until February. Really, you have until after that. You don't have to be out this house by February, but I have until February, and I did not want to rush into something, which I felt like I was doing, just because I loved that house. I got plenty of time to be able to buy a new house, right? So, you know, we move on. And so I moved on, and after moving on from that house, I was going back to the website to look for new houses. Nothing quite tickled my fancy. There was such a shift from when I first started looking at houses at the beginning of the year to looking at houses over the last couple months. There was such a difference in the houses that were on the market, and the houses that were in that price range that I was originally looking at, they were just like, they were too old, or they had the weirdest layouts. Like, I didn't want to buy a house where the layout didn't make sense and half the house wouldn't be used because the layout was weird. I just felt like that's a waste of money. So they were old, they had really weird layouts, the location was in the wrong place. I didn't want to compromise on my location just to get a house, or they needed like a lot of updating and renovating. And I knew if I was to buy an existing home that I was going to want to go in and update something. Even that house that I was so convinced that I was going to buy, I knew I was going to want to redo the kitchen. I knew I was going to want to change out the flooring. I knew that there was going to be some things that I wanted to do. But I got to the point where I was just like, if I'm going to buy an older home, because at this point, even that home was just built in like the late 90s, early 20s, or early 2000s, which is still kind of old for a home. Not too old, but still kind of old. But a lot of houses that were coming on the market now were like even older than that. And I don't really like living in old homes anyway. But I felt like if I was going to buy an old home that was built in like the 60s or the 70s or the 80s or even the early 90s or even, you know, the early 2000s at this point, and I was going to put more money into it to make it what I wanted, why not just buy a new home and make it what I wanted from the beginning? Because like I said, I was looking at lower priced homes because I knew I was going to be spending money on updating and renovating and things like that. Certain things that I knew I was going to want to do because I knew I was going to want a new kitchen. I don't care what house I was going to buy. I knew that I was going to want a new kitchen. I knew that I was probably going to redo some of the bathrooms. I knew that I was going to want to change out the flooring for the most part. So I felt like if I was going to do that anyway, why not just start from scratch and build from the ground up? And so that was one thing that changed my mind about originally being like, nope, I don't want a new home. I only want to do existing, to now I'm like, yeah, I probably just need to go ahead and just have my own house built. So I started looking at new construction homes, and on August 1st, I took my best friend with me to go tour a model home in a neighborhood that I had seen early on in my search and actually drove around, but ultimately decided not to go with. And I decided not to go with it in the beginning because the starting price of the floor plans that I wanted to look at were just above or like right at my original affordability, and not like my fake, what I told the real estate agent affordability, but like top of my actual budget or top of my actual affordability. But since February, I had gotten a promotion and a raise, so now the starting price of the floor plan that I wanted was well within my new affordability range, which is higher obviously than what it was before. And I was a little nervous because, again, there's a specific lender that I want to use, or a home buying program that I want to use, and they don't have the best reputation with builders because they are very slow and they ask for a lot of information. And so I have heard through the grapevine that a lot of the popular builders don't even like to work with them, and they don't like to accept contracts from buyers with them as the lender. But I talked to the builder's agent. I told him about it. After everything, I sat down and I was like, okay, here's the lender that I want to use. Do you guys work with this lender? Please say yes. And it turns out that he actually used to work with that lender or that program, and he was saying it's not an issue. He kind of knows what they're looking for and he can help out with anything. So I kind of took that as a divine intervention that that first house wasn't really what I was supposed to be going for. This is the house that I was supposed to be going. I don't know if it was just, you know, I don't know if it was just me, you know, in my head, like, oh, this is, you know, a great sign. But so I spent that next week thinking about whether I really wanted to move forward with this. And if I did want to move forward with this, what lot did I want to choose? Because that was the most important thing. They have what's called spec homes in the community. If you're thinking about building, you might hear something called a spec home. And a spec home is a home that they've already started the process on. So they chose the floor plan, they chose the lot, they have chosen some of the options that go in the home, and depending on where the house is in the process, if you decide to purchase that home, you might be able to make a lot of changes. You might not be able to make any changes. It really just depends. I knew that if I wanted to build a new construction, I wanted to build from the ground. Obviously, if I would have built a spec home, I would have been able to get into it much quicker than building from the ground. But going back to what I was thinking before, if I'm going to do this, I want to make it as customized as I can, instead of choosing somebody else's options or living with somebody else's options. So I decided to you know, build from the ground. So with me building from the ground, I had to choose what lot that I was going to build my house on. And so I spent the next week choosing, you know, looking at all the lots that were available. And they don't release all the lots at once. They do release them in stages. I really wanted a corner lot. At the time, a corner lot was not available. So I had to think about each of the lots that were available and traffic flow and future construction around that lot and all kinds of things. I sent it to friends, sent it to this friend group, hey, which lot would you choose? Sent it to this friend group, hey, which lot would you choose? And to my mom and my brother, hey, which lot would you choose? And then on August 7th, when I was about to tell my agent what lot I wanted so that she can tell the builder's agent, I happened to look at the interactive map on the website and I saw that they opened up 3 more lots. One of them was a corner lot and I snagged that one. So I got me a corner lot, and it is more expensive than other lots. And I'll talk to you guys in another video about the cost associated with actually building a home. But I wanted one and I got one. And so this particular house has 4 bedrooms. It has an upstairs and a downstairs. So it is a 2-story home. All 4 bedrooms are upstairs. It has a loft upstairs and 2 full baths, and the laundry room is upstairs. So I was okay with having the stairs because the laundry room is upstairs, and there's a sitting area up there. So on days that I really don't feel like going up and downstairs, I don't have to. You know what I'm saying? On the first floor, there is obviously the kitchen and the dining room and the gathering area. And there are 2 flex spaces. So one of them is going to be my office, and one of them is going to be a content room. And I liked having the office downstairs and my bedroom upstairs because one, I didn't want them close together because I have a habit of going to lay down when I should be working. So I know that I'm not going to be walking up and downstairs to go take a nap. So it's good that my office is downstairs, and in the morning, when I'm done doing what I need to do upstairs and I go downstairs, that's it. Won't be going back upstairs for the most part, unless I absolutely have to for some reason, until it's time, you know, to go to bed. So that's kind of how I got around or justified in my head having a 2-story home. The 2-car garage, and which is also something I wanted. I wanted to have a 2-car garage because I wanted the space, and a powder room on the first floor. And also there's some other things that I'll talk to you guys in another video about the options that I chose, some other structural changes that I made to the house. But yeah, so a 2-story in a new construction. Houses are closer together than I would like, or than I would prefer, but it's okay. Because I have a corner lot, I'm okay with having a neighbor on one side and a not on the other side. 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2 flex spaces downstairs. It's a lot of space, okay? But I love the house. I've gone over there so many times since I've signed that contract that You know, I wish I could just move into the model house until my house is done. Like I just like being there. And here we are 2 months after signing my contract. One thing that they don't tell you when you're getting a house built is that it's a hurry up and wait game. Because once you sign your contract, there's like 1,000 people in the background doing things in the background. And depending on your builder, you might not necessarily have a lot of communication with them on like what they're doing and where they are in the process. And so it really seems like, bro, I signed this contract and I paid y'all all this money, because when you're building a house, the money that you have to put up front is a lot of money. So you're like, I signed this contract and I put all this money down and y'all ain't doing nothing. What's going on? Like, what's the next steps, right? And I'll do another video about like what to expect next and what the next steps are after you do sign a contract. But there's a lot of hurry up and wait, because until they get the permit pulled, they can't really do anything on your lot. But again, people are doing things in the background. You just don't really know what they're doing. So I've been over there, like I said, so many times in the last 2 months. Several times a week I go out there and I'm just like, I just want to see the lot. I know they haven't done anything. About 2 weeks ago, I went out there and I was driving with my mom. She was like, you want to come out here and see nothing? You're just going to see grass. And I'm like, I know, it's fine. And then we turn the corner and I can see my lot from the back. And I see a mound of dirt. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. They did something. My mom's like, it's dirt. I was like, but it's something. It wasn't there before. And then we drove around. And we noticed that they had put up like the little black fence. And not only did they have that amount of dirt, but they had also put some rocks down, which my brother told me is to stabilize their equipment. I don't know. They also put some material out there, which I think has to do with when they pour the slab. They just kind of like started staging that in the lot. So I've, you know, apparently they've gotten the permit, so now they can go ahead and start moving. We just went out there a couple days ago and somebody was cutting the grass because it was like an overgrown jungle. So they've been cutting that down, so they're really getting started. I talked to the builder's agent about like what is going to happen next, like when in the process am I going to be contacted, because I know that we have to do like a pre-construction meeting just to verify all the options that I chose are on their plans. And he said that could be happening pretty much within the next week or so. So I'm very, very excited. My camera died and I don't really know exactly where I was, but let me just say, whenever they start making really good progress over at my lot, I plan to be there every day. I'm absolutely going to be that person that is showing up every day to make sure that the house is being built the way it should be built. I've watched so many of these journeys from other people, and I've seen people get to a certain point and they're like, oh, that's not supposed to be there. That's not supposed to be there. We're not waiting for drywall. We're not waiting for siding. We're not waiting for brick or whatever the outside is going to be. It's going to be found out and noticed and rectified before we get to that point. So my new house is going to be about 15 minutes away from my mom's house. So just a hop, skip, and a jump away. It's going to be nothing for me to go on lunch break or after work. I'm probably going to end up going after work for the most part, because I don't want to slow the workers down. I don't want to be in their way. I don't want to, you know, cause any issues with them while they're working. I want them to do a good job on the house. But I do plan on coming or going over there during the day sometimes, just so that I can get to know them. They can get to know me. And we can become besties so that I know that they're looking out for me on my house. So I do plan on taking you guys with me over there and showing you guys the updates as they occur. I've already apologized to the builder's rep, the agent, for being a bugaboo in advance. I'm sure I've already been a bugaboo, but I'm spending a lot of money, so I want to make sure that my house is, you know, everything that I want it to be. So I, in addition to going to the lot, I go and look at the model just to take measurements. And I've already started thinking about ways that I want to decorate it and things that I am going to change even though I am getting this house built from the ground up, there are some options that I was not able to get that I would have liked in the house, just because the builder didn't offer them as options. And so I know there are going to be some changes that are going to be made down the line, and I'll talk about those things when I talk about the options that I got in my house. So I'm going to be over there a lot. I'm going to be over there a lot. I mean, if not every day, then every other day. I've been watching these videos. I've been watching so many of these videos, and I see people talk about like, oh, it's been, you know, a week since I've been to the lot. It's been, you know, 2 or 3 weeks since I've been over there. That's not gonna be me. I'm gonna be over there all the time because I want to see what's going on, and I do know that, you know, things are moving pretty quickly, and sometimes mistakes are made, and I want to be able to catch those mistakes as early as I can, so that we don't get too far down the line and they can't be changed. So that's why I'll be over there. But I do have to make sure that I'm careful, because I've already had to replace a tire on my car because I caught a nail, and it was in a part of my tire that made the tire, or made the hole, unrepairable. So I had to replace the whole tire. So if you are going through the building process and you're going to be like me, or even if you just decide to go over once or twice during the process, be very careful, because it is a construction zone and there may be nails on the street and you might catch one in your tire. So just be really cognizant about that. So that's all I have for you guys today in this video. I'm super excited to go on this journey and share that, like I said, everything that I've learned and experiencing with you guys. If I can help answer any questions for anybody else that's coming up, starting to build their house, then, you know, all of this will be worth it. If you are interested in building a house or thinking about building a house, go ahead and drop down in the comments what questions you have, so that maybe if I come up, you know, if it's something that I experienced, I can definitely share that. Or if somebody else has experienced it, they can share that as well. If you're currently in the process of buying a house, go ahead and drop down in the comments where you are in the process. And if you are also sharing your journey on YouTube, let me know. I would love to follow your journey as well. And if you've already had your house built, go ahead and drop some nuggets of wisdom for those of us in the process or soon to be in the process. Because like I said, I know that I have a lot of questions. I know a lot of people have a lot of questions. And if we can just help each other and answer those questions for each other, I think that will be great. Of course, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications, share this video with a friend if you think it can help them. And thank you so much for spending this time with me. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye. All right, so they are starting to dig the trench for the footings, for the foundation. So sunroom is going to be back there. So that means the dining room and the kitchen will be here. And the, what's this thing called? My office will be here. The garage, there's going to be a powder room back here. And then it looks so tiny. It just looks so small, but it's going to work. Got a decent sized front yard, I guess, for somebody who don't really care about grass. I'm not gonna walk back there just yet, but I feel like it's gonna be an okay sized backyard. I mean, it's not huge, but I don't need a whole bunch of backyard. So we are moving along.